Reporting for the Intermountain Christian News, I'm Dr. Anthony Harper here at the White House. The President of Israel, Isaac Herzog, is meeting with Biden today here at the White House. And behind me, you see the camera crew of different news outlets from Israel and a limousine. Israel President Herzog arrived here just a little while ago, and he's supposed to be coming out very shortly. So this is a crucial meeting regarding Israel-U.S. relations. Of the several things that President Isaac Herzog would be talking with Biden here at the White House would include the Ukraine issue, and then of course the threat of Russia to Israel. Very serious issues for Israel in light of the upcoming elections for them November 1st and the midterm elections here in the U.S. November 8th. A big deal, a big concern for a lot of evangelical Christians and Orthodox Jews is the support for I refer to as a two-state delusion about this idea about dividing Israel, and very curious if that will come up in a conversation between the President of Israel and Biden here today. And especially the development of a Palestinian consulate in Jerusalem.
Mr. President, welcome. It's great to have you here in the Oval Office, and I want to thank you for your hospitality you showed me when I was in Israel, and thank you again for the honor you showed me. I was bragging to the President. I have been presented by the President the Israeli Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is on the table behind you over there. I'm very proud of it, but thank you for that honor. And tomorrow, Israel and Lebanon are going to sign an agreement to establish a permanent maritime boundary between your two countries. I think it's a historic breakthrough. It took a lot of courage for you to step up and step into it. It took some real guts, and I think it took principle and persistent diplomacy to get it done. And I compliment you, and I compliment the government. This agreement is going to allow the development of energy fields for both countries, and it's going to create new hope and economic opportunities for the people of Lebanon, enhance the stability and security of the people of Israel, in my view. As you probably know, I've been working on this since I was Vice President of the United States, and I really compliment you. We're also going to discuss the ironclad commitment, and this is, I'll say this 5,000 times in my career, the ironclad commitment the United States has to Israel based on our principles, our ideas, our values. They're the same values. And I've often said, Mr. President, if there were not an Israel, we'd have to invent one. And I told you before, my dad was a righteous Christian who we used to sit for dinner to have conversation and incidentally eat. And I remember even when I was a teenager, my dad talking about how we should have done so much more. Why didn't we bomb the railroad tracks? Why didn't we? So
in World War II.
World War II. And so it's a deep shared concern. And so we have bedrock values and interests, and I'm going to hope we get to talk about those a little bit today. And I think our interests are pretty consistent around the world and in the region. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank you wholeheartedly for your hospitality, for inviting me here. It's an expression of true friendship. And we had the enormous pleasure of hosting you at the President's home and in Israel at large a few weeks ago. It was a true moment of pleasure for the people of Israel. And I also think it was one hell of a pleasure for you too, as far as I could get it. You are a true friend of Israel, Mr. President, and the United States is our closest, strongest historical ally. And I'm very proud to come here as the head of state of the State of Israel to express my feelings of friendship and bonding and the unbreakable bond between our nations. You know, Mr. President, today marks 40 days to the killing of Mahsa, a young Iranian woman who protested, and today the Iranian regime is crushing thousands of Iranian citizens, young men and women, who are demonstrating and simply pleading to have their own liberties. And this is an example of the way Iran is working, crushing its own citizens, moving towards nuclear weapons, and supplying lethal weapons that are killing innocent citizens in Ukraine. And I think the Iranian challenge will be a major challenge which we will be discussing. I want to thank you, Mr. President, and the administration for moving forward and carving the deal between Israel and Lebanon on the maritime borders. And we appreciate the effort and of course, the bringing it to fruition tomorrow. We will also be discussing the inclusion and integration of Israel in the region, in the Middle East, as we see more and more nations coming on board and cooperating with Israel in so many fields. For one item that you and I will participate together with leaders from all over the world in the COP27 down in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt a few weeks down the road, I think the climate change challenge can serve as a common denominator for so many nations and also between Israel and the United States. And finally, Mr. President, you know, we have elections in Israel and you're having midterm elections in the United States. But one thing is clear, and I think this visit epitomizes it best, is that our friendship and strong bond transcends all political differences and opinions and parties. And I hope that together we can continue to work towards the well-being of the State of Israel, the United States, and the world at large. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
כל הזמן הם אומרים מה רע בו, מצוין.
חברים, שלום, אני עשיתי הצהרה קצרה.
First I'll do it in Hebrew, then in English, okay? I just completed a very detailed, in-depth discussion with the President of the United States, Joe Biden, a true friend of Israel, as part of the unique relationship, the unbreakable bond, the historic relations between Israel and the United States. We had an open and frank discussion on many issues. I thanked the President on the U.S. leadership in carving out the Lebanon Maritime Border Agreement, which will be signed tomorrow. We've discussed mainly the issue of Iran's pursuit of nuclear weapon, Iran's crush of its own citizens in a brutal, vicious, and malicious way, and Iran's activities in supplying armaments that are killing innocent Ukrainian citizens. We've discussed the integration and inclusion of Israel in the region and the potential of doing so many great things with our neighbors in the various Arab states around us, as reflected in the energies that have pursued following the Abraham Accords, as well as our dialogue with our Palestinian neighbors. And we've discussed the issue of climate change, as we will both participate in the COP27 summit, and the discussion of the potential cooperation between Israel and the region and the United States on such issues. I want to thank the President for his warmth, for his friendship, for being such an ally of the State of Israel, and the great friendship between Israel and the United States at large, which goes beyond any partisan differences. We've always believed in bipartisan relationship. And finally, We have elections both in Israel and in the United States, and the mere fact of my own visit as the head of state of the State of Israel, which is above the political realm, is an expression of the great friendship between Israel and the United States, which transcends all political differences. Thank you very much. אני אוסיף משהו בעברית. אני הודיתי לנשיא ארצות הברית על המנהיגות שלו ושל הצוות שלו בהובלת הסכם הגבולות הימי בין ישראל ללבנון. And we've discussed the issue of anti-Semitism. It's a major issue which we see as a main challenge in various frontiers all over the world. Clearly, as the nation state of the Jewish people, we care for our brothers and sisters all over the world. Toda rabba and thank you.
What about funding the Anti-Semitic UNRWA?
We read news every day. News that's informative, but rarely encouraging. The Intermountain Christian newspaper aims to change that. They present the news you need to know, from what's going on in your community to your world, with encouraging words, motivation, and the resources you need to make positive changes in your life. What is your local government doing that you need to know about? What's happening in your community you need to be a part of? Whether it's a story from your neighborhood, a national story, or an encouraging word, you'll find biblical issues of everyday life in the Intermountain Christian newspaper. Intermountain Christian News is produced and supported by the work and donations of individuals and churches. You'll find it at churches, Christian bookstores, by subscription, and online at imcnews.org. To find out more about supporting this local resource, go online at imcnews.org or call Intermountain Christian News in Boise, Idaho at 208-703-8688. The Intermountain Christian News, a voice sharing the truth on matters dear to people's hearts.